everyone, it's Sarah with Ruffles and Rain Boots, and I am here making a Facebook hit. I previewed these little mushroom cap gnomes on my Facebook page, Ruffles and Rain Boots, and you guys went crazy for them. I'm going to show you how to make two sizes with the gills, the beards, the arms, and we got to give them a little boop before we get started. If you'd like to make them, stick around. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. Now there are a lot of supplies, but I want to break this down. So you see these gills? I wanted the cute little mushroom cap, the body, and the gills to show. But I found out when I finished them at this size, this is what happened. You had this shadow and you had the gills sort of hidden under the bottom of that cap, and I wanted a little bit different. So what I did is I went back to my drawing here and I started looking at different sizes. If you go really, really big, you have to build that sort of, you can see a cardboard structure. I didn't want to make everybody do that. So we're going to start with a bigger gnome base, which means we need a heavier thing, so we'll get small rocks. I also would urge you to use something that doesn't require hemming. I'm using a very thick craft felt. It's called premium craft felt, and I will get this one and I'll show you this label. I accidentally ripped it. It's premium 12 by 18 and it's in the craft felt section. We're also, this is optional, but I'm going to use these adorable custom wooden buttons. They say Ruffles and Rain Boots and my little gnome there. If you'd like them, the link will be down below. Okay, and what else do we need? We need a nose and some hands if you're going to choose to make arms. And we need a cardboard box because we're going to make our circle. If you have anything bigger than 6 inches, a lid from my kitchen wouldn't work, so I had to make it with a compass. And I got a razor and faux fur. And we're going to start with my no-sew gnome pattern. But before we do put that onto the fleece, I have an announcement.
Here with a friendly gnome reminder to subscribe. How? Just click that red subscribe button below and then the bell for turning on all notifications. Now let's get back to Sarah and the crafts.
This is how I felt when I finished learning Adobe Character Animator so I could make that hilarious thing. Okay, back to our gnome. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer our pattern onto some white fleece or whatever color you want, and we're just going to cut that out, your method, whatever you'd like. You can use any gnome body for this, but I do recommend something taller and narrower just because it looks like a mushroom. Okay, so once that is cut out, you'll follow the pattern instructions on assembly. Psst, it's super easy. That's why it's a best-selling pattern. All right, so I'll also put that pattern link down below, but we are going to sit here, let it dry, okay? But while we're sitting here and letting it dry, we're going to test something. So I wanted to see if I turn this inside out after it was dry, if you could see the rocks inside the fleece. And guess what? Oh, this is the last little part here of me. You can cut that part off. I think it adds stability, so I choose to glue it and tuck it under. But anyway, back to the rocks. So I wanted to see if all these multicolored rocks I got would show up through the body, and guess what? They did. So if the rocks can be seen, grab something that makes a circle. I made about a 5-inch circle here, and then I made a pouch. So all I did was cut a circle. It does not look like a real circle. Okay, I am not an artist. All right, so what I did was I just put some rocks in it, and then I sewed a running stitch around the entire thing, which means you don't have any knots. And then you just tie or pull the two ends of it together after you go in and out all the way around your little circle. And then you just tie it up. That's it. This is the best way to make a pouch. It's easy. It's also how I made the pom-pom gnomes, or pom-pom pets. I'll put the link to that video above. So once you have it, all you have to do is fill it up with your rocks, tie it off, and then we're going to shove it into the body of our gnome, right at the bottom. So I'll just tell you, roll it a little bit, make it skinny, and then tuck it in all the way. Now, do you have to do this? No, you don't. Should you do this? Yep, because I will tell you I made a different one and it kept falling over. Okay, so I added some poly beads as well to sort of go around those rocks. I spill them every single time. Anyway, so then I filled up the whole body all the way to the top with polyfill. I like this part. It's like the easiest part of making a gnome, just the polyfill. And I have no idea why my lights are doing that. Yeah. Okay, so once we have this, we are now going to move on to the hat. So the cap part, which is the colored part, I end up using a 6-inch for the small hat and a 7-inch for the large hat. And then we're going to cut a slit down that because that's going to help us size it. And then, because I don't apparently know how to cut things, I have to round mine off. You can see, there we go. Okay, so this one ends up being 7 inches for the large gnome, okay? So all I'm going to do to make it size, is you can make it any size you want, is fold over the edges after you cut the slit in the center. And here I'm going to show you how to cut the slit. So before we can finish the hat, we have to get the bottom for the gills. A small is 4.5 inches, a large is 6 inches, and that's out of white fleece as well, or felt, whichever you want. So you can see it doesn't match up, but what we're going to do is we're going to end up pinning everything on the edge of the outside, and that's going to give our cap sort of the bounce it needs or whatever to get a big space in the middle for the puffy and the gills. Okay, so before we get to that, we're going to fold this over and fold it over again. And now right where everything meets, we're just going to cut off about 1/4 inch. You see, snippity-doo-dah. And then you have a nice little hole in the middle. And because this is fleece, mine is very, very stretchy. If you're not using a stretchy fabric, well, you're going to have to be a little more precise. Hence, you should use a stretchy fabric. Okay, so this is going to be our cap part of our gnome. So you're going to fold it like we did. And on the side that is closed, you're just going to cut 1 layer. Okay, so you can see here, I'm cutting just the 1 outside layer. And then I cut it all the way to the center. Okay. So you can see now that's how we're going to make our little mushroom cap, is we're going to fold over the edges. So I'm just sizing it here just to make sure that I like where it's going to end up, you know, in the end all be all size. You can make this anything. If you want it really narrow and high, you're going to fold it over a lot. Okay, so my fold over is about 2 3/4 inches here. And I don't know if that's important because you don't have to make yours exactly like mine, but I thought I'd share it with you. And all we're going to do now is just run a bead of hot glue right here. You don't need a lot. This premium felt is so magical because even if you press a little bit, the glue won't show through. But do gently adhere it. Don't press it down real hard so you get this ugly line of glue. And then we're going to go into the inside and we're just going to glue down the inside flap as well. So I have a little bit of holdover because this is hot glue, not sewing. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess. I know, I'm so like technical. This is how I make stuff. And this is the 3rd one of these that I've made. So I do know that this process works for multiple sizes. Okay, so now here's the fun part. We're going to sort of line things up. So what we're going to do is use pins and line it right up at the edge, even though it's smaller, right? So we're going to line it right up at the edge and we're going to pin it 4 places. So just the front, the back, and each side. And there's going to be holes where it's not adhered. And that's where we're going to start gluing. So we're going to pin our 4 points down and then move on to our hot glue. Okay, so now the thing about the hot glue, you don't need a lot, and don't go right to the very, very edge because we don't want it to seep out. We want it just to look like 2 pieces of that mushroom are just, you know, kissing each other right at the edge. I'm very flowery today. Must be that animated gnome. Okay, so we're just going to repeat that on all sides, remove the pins, and then glue those areas down as well. And then we get back out our polyfill and we stuff it, but don't overstuff it, right? This is one that we don't want it to bust out at the seams because we are going to mess with this a lot. So you can see mine looks like a little pie, right? So I'm just test fitting it here. So again, mine is stretchy and I'm just pulling it down. And then you can see this is where my gnome nose is going to go. My beard's going to go here. And you can assemble it now, but if you would like to make these little gills, I had to look up what they were called. You just use a needle and some thread. You can use embroidery thread. I was just too lazy to get up and get it. All right, so now make sure you know where the front is and then start off to the side of that because I will tell you from experience, you get tired of doing this and your gills don't look as pretty. So just start right to the side of the front, go through the front and then the other side. Now I did have to change threads here quite a bit because I didn't use a very long piece. I have a tendency to get it all knotted around myself or anything else I'm near. And all I'm doing is I'm going through the center of the hole up to the edge of the glue So you can see it's right near the edge, but it doesn't go all the way to the edge. I just thought it looked better like this. Trust me, I tried the other way. But you do you. If you want to sew this before you put all this together, that's great. Just one thing, if you are hand sewing, don't pull it too tightly because you can warp that middle hole. And we want that to fit pretty snugly so that we can like hide all of our joins. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with going all the way around, but do go all the way around. And then you're going to make a tie off on the inside and leave it a pretty large trail so that you can just cut it and then tuck it under. See, there we go. Happiness. Okay, now what? Tuck, 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 tuck. I have those all the way through mine. And so now you can see, we're not going to start assembling, but you can sort of see, you can see where you want. I wanted my hat pulled back. I don't know why I did a thumbs up. And now it's time to choose your faux fur for your gnome. I play dress up. It's very hard for me to decide on a beard color. As you can see, I have quite a few just plain beards, but yeah, I have a lot of choices and it's hard to make choices. Okay, so once you've decided on that, you can decide on arms. If you do want arms and you are using my pattern, cut a 6-inch rectangle by 1-inch rectangle, hot glue one entire side down, leaving the ends open, snip it in the middle, and now you have 2 arms. Biggity bam. All right, because we left the, these roll around. Sorry, I don't know why I filmed that, but I got frustrated. Okay, so before we put the arms and everything on, we're going to size our gnome beard. This is 100% your preference. I like a wraparound beard. You don't have to. But here's how I make my beards. I have a rectangle. I find a center. I draw it to a point, and I cut it, only the backing, with faux fur. I think everybody now uses my tutorial for cutting faux fur. There didn't used to be one, but here you go. I will link it above in case you want a detailed explanation of working with faux fur. But if not, we can continue and make our gnome. So we're going to put this right up to the bottom edge. For me, I sized mine so it just, the beard just kisses the ground. And then I hot glued it on just near the top rim of the body. Okay, now because we left those little open pieces at the end, we're going to add our little wood beads or clay beads or buttons or mittens, whatever you want to do, right to the ends. One arm and then the other. And we're going to be putting these seam down, so in case there's an ugly part to the bead, just put the seam facing the back of the body. Okay, and so you can see here where I'm placing almost right up at the very tip of the body because my gnome is not holding anything. If yours is holding anything and you want it to have something, make your arms a little longer or put them a little lower. Okay, now let's see, we are going to add both of our arms. I don't know why I make them dance. We're going to add both of our arms and we're going to start assembling the rest of our gnome. So I'm going to turn them around here so you can see. Don't glue your hat on yet. It's like the last thing we're going to be doing. Oh, see, I can't. I'm having some difficulties with round objects today. Okay, so you see the hole at the bottom? Don't worry, we're going to cover that up, or I'm going to cover that up. Okay, so I've identified where I'm going to be putting my nose. Then I'm just going to hot glue it down. And just add a little dollop of hot glue, trying not to get the glue anywhere else on that faux fur. Once it's on, we're going to pop on our hat. Now, as I said, I wanted the hat to be tipped up. So we're going to secure it a couple different ways. I always recommend you do the nose first because that's the part that's seen, so you want that to be perfect. Next up, we're going to go to the sides. You can see here, I'm just going to lift up the hat on the gill part. I'm going to add the hot glue right above the arm, and then I'm going to turn it and press that down, right? We're going to repeat on the other side. Right here, so you can kind of see it's kind of pulled back so you can see the top. Add a little hot glue. And then I have the gill part pulled back. We're just going to place that on. Now for the back. I wanted to make sure that in case my dog or child got a hold of this guy, the hat was going to stay on. So I turned him upside down. I used 2 stitches and just tied those stitches together in the back like a knot, putting them through the body and the back of the hat. See? Not hard. Now I'm going to add a mustache if you want. If you don't have a hole to cover up, you don't have to add a mustache. But I just cut a rectangle, flip it down, and this is going to give you a big, bushy, wild mustache in case you want one. If not, find your happy place with your beard and your mustache and whatnot. But I'm just going to place that on right over the hot glue. Sorry, I have it turned around there. Now I'm just going to split my mustache, and there he is. Now is the decorating part. I like the little mushrooms with spots, so I'm going to add some shroom spots by taking my felt and just cutting almost circles, kind of random ovals, wonky, natural, organic pieces. And I just put them all over the place. It's really good to put one at the top where that seam starts so that no one sees it. Okay, now that we have those on, this part is 100% optional, but if you have a tag or a button, go ahead and sew that on. I just added 2 little ties on either side because I really stink at sewing. But I love these buttons. So you can see his little button on his bottom. Isn't he cute? Anyway, you can get that button with your own shop name or name below. And here we have our adorable little mushroom cap gnomes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to make these? If you do, boop, let me know. Join me at Ruffles and Rain Boots on Facebook. And as always, please like and subscribe to Ruffles and Rain Boots.